the great bamboo butt trick of Apvüho. Long ago, in the time when our ancestors still told stories by firelight and not by Facebook, there was a peculiar village with a very peculiar problem. No one in the village had a butthole. Yes, you heard that right. No one could poop. At all. Not a squeak, not a plop, not even a fart. They'd cook the most mouth-watering meals, fatty smoked pork, sticky rice soaked in bamboo steam, and fish so fresh it still looked surprised, but all they could do was sniff, sigh, and throw the food away. Why? Because if they ate it, they'd explode like overstuffed balloons. Their bellies were always round, filled with air and frustration. In the time of our forefathers, when animals could speak and the wind carried secrets, there wandered a trickster named Apvüho. He wasn't a hero, nor a villain, just a man with a clever tongue, itchy feet, and absolutely no shame. One sunny day, Apvüho found himself hungry, dusty, and stumbling into a village that smelled like paradise. Meat stew bubbled over fires, herbs sizzled in pots, and the aroma hung in the air like magic. His stomach growled louder than a jungle cat. He rushed in expecting feasting, dancing, and full bellies, but instead, he saw the strangest sight. The villagers were standing around food, sniffing it, just sniffing. Not a bite was eaten. "What in the name of fermented bamboo is going on here?" Apvüho asked, bewildered. A weary woman sighed. "We cook, we smell, but we cannot eat." Apvüho blinked. "Why not?" An elder stepped forward and, with a solemn whisper, said, "We have no buttholes." Apvüho nearly choked. "You what?" "No way to relieve ourselves," the elder explained. "So, if we eat, we die. Our food must go to waste." Apvüho, unable to hide his laughter, said, "Back in my village, we had the same problem once, but our ancestors found the cure. They pierced a hole using sharp bamboo." The villagers gasped. "It's possible?" "Oh yes," Apvüho lied, puffing up like a proud cockerel. "It's an ancient art, rare, costly." So, when he saw food just sitting there, untouched, he gobbled it down without a second thought. The villagers screamed, "Stop, you'll die!" But Apvüho licked his fingers and said, "Don't worry, I have the hole." And just like that, he climbed the nearest tree like a lizard on a mission, swung his backside over a branch, and with a tremendous, echoing noise that sounded like a thunderclap mixed with a trumpet, he pooped. Right. Out. Loud. Hurrah! Birds flew off. Monkeys fainted. The villagers gasped in awe. "It's a miracle!" one shouted. "He has a hole!" another cried. "Where did you get it?" they demanded. With the wisdom of a trickster and the straight face of a man who just committed a natural disaster from a tree, Apvüho said, "My forefathers used sharp bamboo. They poked it until a hole came out. Science." The villagers were stunned. "Will you help us?" "Of course," he said, "but wisdom like this doesn't come cheap." So, they brought bundles of rice, and from their sacred pen, they offered a mithun, their most prized animal, a sign of wealth and honor. Apvüho grinned. One by one, he lined up the children. Yes, the children. And with a sharp bamboo stick in hand, he started poking. Poke, groan, poke, cry, poke, scream. It was a horror show. Then, after this bizarre surgical ritual, he gently laid the moaning children in a huge basket, covered them with banana leaves, and tied it tight. "Don't open this," he said, "until I cross the mountain bend. It's part of the healing process." The villagers nodded. "Thank you, Dr. Holemaker." With the mithun tied to a vine like a prize-winning cow, Apvüho whistled and began his journey. Meanwhile, back at the village, the parents heard tiny groans and whispers from inside the basket. "Mama, it hurts." They reached to open it, but someone remembered, "Wait, he told us not to." He's the butthole expert. So they waited. Finally, when Apvüho reached the curve of the mountain trail, he cupped his hands and shouted back, "Now you can look!" The villagers opened the basket. Dead silence. Then, screams, cries, fainting, throwing themselves on the ground. All the children were stiff as firewood, their eyes wide open like they'd seen ghosts, and their new buttholes had not saved them. They were gone, all gone. The villagers grabbed spears and ran, but Apvüho was already over the ridge, laughing and patting the Mithun on its neck. "Easy, girl. Let's find some more fools." As he walked, feeling pleased with his surgical success, he heard a soft melody playing. It was the sweetest sound he'd ever heard, like butterflies dancing or rice beer bubbling at dawn. There stood Rio, a young man playing a handmade flute. Apvüho's heart swelled. "Friend," he said, "that flute, it sings to my soul. I must have it. Take this glorious Mithun in return." Rio raised an eyebrow. "Let me ask my elder, Chimfaramo." He went inside, poured hot ash into the flute, shook it like a maraca, and came back. "Yes," he said, smiling, "it's yours." They traded. Apvüho held the flute like a sacred relic. But Rio leaned in and whispered, "Don't play it until I've crossed the mountain bend. It brings back memories." "Understood," Apvüho nodded solemnly. But 5 minutes later, curiosity was clawing at his insides. He raised the flute. Pff, nothing. Again. Fuff, still nothing. He muttered. Maybe it needs mountain bend magic. When Rio reached the curve, he shouted, "Now you can play!" Delighted, Apvüho took a deep breath and blew with all the strength in his body. Pafoo-ha! A volcano of hot ash exploded into his face. It filled his eyes, his ears, his nose, even his mouth. He screamed, tripped, and rolled down the hill, with flute shards flying around him like evil fairy dust. He jumped up, blind with fury, smashed the flute into the ground, wiped his sooty face with a banana leaf, and shouted, "Never trust a man named Nryo!" And that, dear listeners, is how the trickster Apvüho, who pierced others in the butt, got tricked himself right in the face. Moral of the story: don't poke butts with bamboo unless you're ready for ashes in your face.